So who's your second?
Well, I'd love to have had a catch up with old Moses Maimonides, who was the Hebrew writer of things like the Guide to the Perplexed and the Mishnah Torah. He was a Jewish religious thinker who came out of the region of Spain. He came from a very long line of Jewish scholars and judges, etc., etc. I'd quite like to have a chat to him. But one of the people that I'd really like to invite for dinner who was dead was that rabbi called Yeshua, Jesus. But then I thought...
Wow, we're getting very religious here, Steve.
We are. But then I thought to myself, but he's not dead, so I can't do that in Christian belief. I've actually had to put Jesus on the shelf because he's not dead. I thought to myself, well, who else would I really like to find out a little bit more about and just to get alongside? Now, as you know, I've got a modest interest and certainly over my life I've had a modest interest in Russia. And I thought to myself it would be quite nice to meet someone like Fyodor Dostoevsky or even Solzhenitsyn. Either of those guys would be good. So, you know, it was a toss-up between one of those two. And... you know, Dostoevsky, some of his work is amazing, and I haven't read enough of his work, but I've read some of his work, Crime and Punishment, Brothers Karamazov and all that.
Brothers Karamazov,
yeah. So I'd quite like to have them at the table. I think there'd be one of those guys at the table. I think that'd be quite interesting to meet and to chat and to try and understand what it was like for them in that particular part of Europe at that time, because the richness of the Russian culture is amazing, you know, particularly when it comes to literature. They've got some amazingly astute people in that country. And I think that these guys, particularly as they sort of pushed against boundaries and engaged with a lot of sort of philosophical thinking, which obviously touches into significant religious themes. Both of those guys had probably a sort of orthodox faith, if not in the early days of their life, certainly towards the end of their lives, they had formulated quite a strong faith belief. But yeah, it was a troubled political time, troubled social time, real strange goings on in that sort of 19th century Russia for Dostoevsky and obviously Solzhenitsyn with his Gulag archipelago when he was ostracized. I mean, he was a great man, right? At least I think he was. Hero of Russia, wasn't he, with his warfare in the Second World War.
He got arrested.
And he made some comments about Stalin. And they locked him up, and that was it.
Lubyanka.
That's it.
Cell 54.
I think they'd be quite interesting guys to chat to.
I've read his Life of Ivan Denisovich. I can never pronounce it correctly. I don't know if you've ever watched Andor.
Yes, I have.
You know the bit where they're in the prison, 12 hours off and 12 hours on? Well, imagine that in freezing cold, and they're working out in a cement place trying to build this stuff where the cement can't set because it's just solid. You can't use it. It's just depressing to read about the life this one day and how people survived. And they could probably manage 10 years, but beyond that, no, you're never going to survive out in the Gulag. And it's a gruesome read, and so's the Gulag archipelago.
They may not be the life and soul of the party. We've got Mary and we've got, what's her name?
Mary Magdala, and you got Xantippe.
So we've got those two girls to sort of balance at least one of them up at the other end of the table.